Hey there folks, it's Glenn from Backlinks Fish. Sunday night upon us again, August 10th. It's been going on this week with my work. I've 5 days straight at the moment out of 8 at my day job, so maybe not as much to talk about in the fish room as other weeks, but still, nonetheless, we've done some good stuff and I'll show you that on the other side. See you soon. So folks, I've had a pretty big week at my day job at work this week, so I'm not sure that this is going to be a super long video tonight. I've done a fair bit of work in the fish room, but unfortunately some of that has been resetting some tanks with Tanganyikan sort of substrate types, and typically what they'll do is they'll soak and carry on for maybe a week. So you film a tank and you don't see much. So I'm going to just quickly flick through a few of the tanks that I've been in this week where we're going to see some fish. And what we're looking at straight in front here is a 3 by 18 by 18, which has some sunshine peacock, the elongatus benchii, which they're here to breed if they will, and they did this week. We've got quite a nice male in here, and this has been a group of fish that I've been sort of waiting to get to. Having said that, they're kind of the secondary to what I'm trying to achieve in this tank. What I'm aiming to do is breed the, where was it, the elongatus, the Lepidiolamprologus elongatus, which is a Lake Tanganyika substrate spawning species. They're a beautiful predatory fish, and what I think these fish fall into the category of what I call kind of spiteful breeders, where if I put a pair in a tank by themselves, they may well breed, but once they breed, they kind of go into like what's next mode, and they get bored and they eat their offspring. I think these might be a candidate for when you breed them with something else that they need to worry about, such as peacocks, which are carnivorous fish. They seem to do a hell of a lot better job of actually knuckling down to the task at hand of looking after their babies and protecting them as such. So that's the strange setup we're running with here. Is the peacocks as a dither and as a source of competition for the Lepidiolamprologus elongatus, beautiful Tanganyikan. This is on the bottom row, and I'm 57 years old, so you're going to hear some grunts and groans as I try and move along. I doubt we'll see anything in here. I'll flick a bit of food in quickly. This is a similar sized tank with a breeding group of Neon and Sulphur. I've spoken about these before, and I've had this tank around the back here for some time. This is a big tank with a view to trying to breed a decent clutch, and I did harvest this earlier in the year and got a good amount out. Looks like they're not going to come out, so we won't waste any more time on that. Up here was a mild success this week, not from the peacock point of view, but this is my group of Tilapia ventralis mapimbuis, otherwise known as the silver streak or silver stream. We got some of these in at the beginning of the year after my little issue from my good mate Grant in Sydney, and I've got 12 eggs tumbling around the back from a young female that I wasn't necessarily planning on stripping, but unfortunately when I netted her to have a look at how far along we were, she spat the eggs out into the net. So we've got them tumbling around the back. They look pretty good and clean so far, and hopefully we'll get them through. I had a bit of a crack at splitting this into two groups. I've got about 15 of these, and they're now distributed over 2 tanks just to give them a chance to spread out. I basically had 2 males that were boxing on and were causing some issue. This tank I got into, this is a group of blue neon peacocks, so that's quite a lovely example of the species. This elongatus, Stuart Grant Eye, Undu Reef, and yeah, lovely buoy there. I've got about 6 or 7 fish in here as the dither, and the fish on the bottom is my beloved Reganochromis caliurus, a Lake Tanganyika pair bonding biparental mouth brooder, so that's a fair bit to process. And the same as what I talked about with the elongatus, I'm running the peacocks above them just to give them the confidence to come out from under their rocks and maybe get a little bit worked up and try to breed for me. Me and a couple of blokes that keep this fish kind of believe there's a bit of seasonality about the Reganochromis, and maybe I'm not quite at the point where they're going to breed yet. Did get a result from the blue neons there, so that was kind of nice, because they're just young fish that are just starting. This is a tank that's got my hopefully my other pair of the elongatus that we've just spoken about, and ended up sort of getting donated this group of Trophaeus earlier in the week, so that was kind of interesting. And I'm experimenting with those as a dither for the elongatus, because I've sort of heard it mentioned in a few other people's YouTubes that, and it kind of makes sense, the Trophaeus aren't terribly interested in predating on other fish given their vegetarian diet. So we're going to have a whirl at running these Trophaeus maliros with the elongatus. Haven't got a lot of colour on the Trophaeus just yet. They haven't been here long. They're still, you know, sub-adult size and getting used to, I guess, my water and my feed. So that's another tank that's coming along as a project, and we watch this space. The fry situation, we've got some Benga peacocks from the sunshines that we talked about. We did get into our electric yellow tank the other day, so I've got some electric yellows, and I did get into another tank with some sulphur crest, so that's produced some fry as well amongst the others. Jobs for the week, the hongi and Lepidiolamprologus blue otter tank is just out of control. There's so many fish holding in there that it's going to be a good job of work. Check out my short video on the blue otters spawning if you haven't seen that already, and I'd like it if you could like it, please, because I'm putting out a fair bit of content now in an effort to grow my base, and I'm not seeing massive returns for effort in terms of subscribers and likes, and I think those things go hand in hand if I do know anything about YouTube. So I'd love to see a bit of reward for my efforts if you're getting value out of it, and if you're not, that's fine, go somewhere else. I'll finish off, I've got a batch of brine shrimp on. This might be a challenge to do one-handed, but we'll see. Just because my killifish are going well. This is the way I do brine, and I've got a video up a while back on that subject. So what we're looking for there is what looks like a tube full of blood. That's the baby brine that had gone to the bottom of my hatcher. We'll just turn that back on so that what's left behind will now agitate, and you can see I've got plenty left there for tomorrow and beyond. And I've got assurances from my mates that these little killies should be good to go on baby brine, so let's do it and see what happens. Oh my god, this is not easy. I'm in a this box on the top shelf of my room. That's probably way more brine than we need, and let's just see what happens with the fish's activity. We've had a very good hatch rate, I believe, out of these killies. My good buddy Max sent these down as eggs, and I think he sent sort of 50 odd, and I've got a good number of fry coming through, and it looks like they're kind of reacting to these baby brine for the first time having seen them, so that's pretty bloody cool. That's going to see me out for today, guys. I've got a beautiful lamb roast in the oven on stun, thanks to my good mate Warren, and I need to go in and wind the temperature back on that a little bit for the subsequent hour of cooking. So thanks for watching, and as I said earlier, if you've got any sort of joy out of this, just I'd love a like, and you know, if you've got a mate that's interested in fish, maybe point them my way to give a sample. Thanks guys, see you next Sunday.